Okay, as the Gonzaga student athletes are making their way to the dais, we'll remind you the satellite coordinates for today's press conferences is AMC 15, K12D, AMC 15, K12D. We'll have microphones on both aisles right here, so we ask you to please raise your hand and please identify yourself by name and affiliation before you ask your question. Joining us from Gonzaga is junior guard Silas Melson and sophomore guard Josh Perkins. And we'll go ahead and open up for questions for our student athletes.
Perfect. We out.
Right here.
Eddie Pels from AP. I guess I'll ask you both. Do you ever secretly wish you guys could face more teams from the Big Ten or the Pac-12 or anything like that, just to mix it up a little bit?
I mean, honest answer, yeah. But I mean, we're totally fine with the competition that we play. But I mean, watching on TV, the Big Ten games, Big 12 has a hell of a conference, and just seeing how competitive they are, we want to be, known with the best like them.
Right here, second row right here. Oh, hold on.
I mean, he pretty much summed it up. I mean, we love to be out there, but we take on the teams that come in front of us, and we do well with that.
Okay, now second row right here, please.
Zach Peerless, Inside MU. Guys, what's the first thing you noticed about Northwestern's backcourt of McIntosh, Law, and Lindsay?
They're really aggressive. I was watching the game yesterday, and McIntosh, I mean, he takes big shots. He's a big-time player. And pretty much all of them, they all have a lot of freedom. They all have a lot of freedom to get to their pull-ups, their floaters, and hit the open three.
Okay, third row right here.
Ian McCafferty, Inside and You. Guys, the first half yesterday, you sort of had an off half and shoots particularly well, and then sort of turned it on at the end of the half, and then played well in the second half. How do you avoid that happening again in your next game?
I mean, the shots we took are shots we usually make, so we didn't focus on the misses. Those are shots we're going to take every time, and we stuck with it. Our teammates, shout out to our bench, told us to keep letting it fly and stay confident in our abilities. We put the reps in, so keep letting it fly, and it's not going to happen again, hopefully not.
Back row.
Silas, based on the number of Northwestern fans that were here yesterday, and the fact that you guys are the 1 seed, I would guess it's going to be a pretty hostile environment tomorrow. Obviously, you guys have been really, really good on the road this year, haven't lost. So is that something you embrace, something you really look forward to?
You nailed it. We do look forward to that. I mean, yesterday I noticed that Northwestern had, a fan base feel like they traveled their whole arena, and I mean, that's what we want. We like playing with our backs against the wall. We like playing with fans cheering against us. That brings more fun, brings more competitiveness to us, and brings out our best.
Okay, third row right here to the right.
Hey guys, Vinny Duber with CSNChicago.com. Have you guys had kind of a target on your back mentality all year long, and how have you handled kind of being the favorite in a lot of games that you've played?
Yeah, I mean, being the best team in our conference, we get teams best every game. Like going on the road, it's a packed house, and they don't sell out every other game, So like you said, the target just bigger and bigger and bigger on a bigger stage. But like Silas said, we embrace it, and it brings out the best in us.
Second row right here.
Like Ian mentioned, Zach Peerless, Inside you. Like Ian mentioned, a little bit of a slow start shooting from the outside. How important was it to have Zach Collins come in off the bench, be able to hit some shots, even hit one from the outside? How important is his presence off the bench?
I mean, Zach is a big-time player, obviously NBA prospect, and I mean that's what we expect out of him. All year long he's been, coming off the bench, giving us a spark, whether it's blocking shots, rebounding. He can stretch the floor, and he's really athletic. So he brings different aspects to the game that some starters might not be able to do.
Yeah, not just yesterday, but every game he's been doing that. Him and Silas, they probably start on every other team in the country, So have these guys come off the bench and provide that spark for us is huge. So, I mean, I'm glad to have these two guys coming in for us.
Okay. Third row right there.
Ian McCaffrey, Inside and You. Nigel didn't have his best game yesterday, only 9 points. But what is sort of it when he's really playing well? What does that sort of help you guys do as well on the court?
It opens up a lot. I mean, obviously he's a really efficient scorer. I mean, I've seen him score 30, missing 4 shots. So, I mean, he's really efficient. And then, you know, when he has a lot of attention on him, it opens up the floor for a lot of other players. You know, their whole game plan is for Nigel, and then it gives me an open 3 or Josh an open drive. Should make easy post moves.
Amy Donaldson from the Deseret News, and I apologize if you've already been asked this question, but was there anything that you took from the BYU loss? I mean, you guys were undefeated, ranked #1 at the time. Was there anything positive or negative, or did that have any impact on you at all?
I mean, personally, I didn't take care of the ball down the stretch in that game, and that's huge, you know. So as a positive experience, I learned from that, and take care of the ball down the stretch is huge. We got to get shots on our terms and get a good shot in those possessions, and so we did that.
Okay, third row.
Josh, could you speak to how you guys sort of used today? Do you have enough time to get a scout on Northwestern, or was today just more of a shoot around for you guys?
No, today was a huge, important day for us. Our coaches do a great job watching film and putting out a great game plan day in and day out. So, I mean, the game plan they put out for us, we took very seriously. We focused out there and got the best out of the 90 minutes we had out there. But we got some jumpers up, too. We had to get the lid off the rim from yesterday. So it was a good day for us.
Okay, second row.
Rebecca Cade, Fox 13. If you guys could both answer this separately. Obviously, John Stockton played for Gonzaga and then came here and played in this arena. Have you thought about that at all and what it means to be playing in the same arena as one of the greats?
Yeah, I mean, we see John Stockton every day, and we have a pleasure to talk to him, and it's really beneficial. And then to come into his house that he pretty much built in his playing days, it's kind of an honor.
Yeah, I mean, he's a huge reason why I'm here. You know, point guard you at GU with John Stockton, Jeremy Pargo, the list goes on, you know. So just to play for the same program he played in and live in his shoes, and then to come here and see what he built, like Silas said, it's a small world. It's crazy.
Astasia Williams from Indo Reports, and both teams are kind of playing for something special. Northwestern, they just want to make sure that they're not just here for the ride, and you guys kind of have this target on your back. So how have y'all been able to handle all the pressure throughout this season?
I mean, we do have a little bit of pressure, but we try to avoid thinking about all that and just play the game. I mean, obviously, we ended up 32-1 or something like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, you still got to step out on the court. You still got to play the game that's ahead of you, and we know that Northwestern is their first tournament appearance in I don't know how many years, but I mean, we know that they're going to be competitive. They're going to come out and play hard. So, I mean, we're coming in there really focused.
Yeah, I mean, we hear about the pressure, but we try not to focus on it, like Silas said. We focus on the things that we can control. That's coming to work every day, executing the game plan, and not really just playing for each other and making school history. So, I mean, like I said, we don't focus on that, and we got to come out and play the game at the end of the day. So we try to do our best to do that.
Any more questions for our student athletes? Okay, gentlemen, thank you, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Coach Few will be here at approximately 1:55. Coach, welcome. Okay, we'll now open up questions for Coach Few. Third row.
Ian McCafferty, Inside and You. Coach, Nigel didn't have his best game yesterday, but what does he sort of bring to the team and the offense when he's playing well?
Well, he brings everything to the team. I don't know that he played that bad yesterday. I mean, his leadership, his communication, his toughness. He's probably our best perimeter defender. He's probably our best rebounder at the guard spot. So, yeah, all of that. I thought he got the pace of the game going. He was able to push it into the first half, into the second half, which really kind of got the game going in our favor.
Third row right here, please.
Jacob Thorpe, Spokesman Review. You've mentioned in the past that last time you guys were in Salt Lake City, you weren't thrilled with the hostile nature of the fan base, but looking at what Northwestern brought yesterday, it seems like it's going to be the same case tomorrow. Are you telling your guys to expect an away game atmosphere?
Yeah, I don't know if I used the word hostile. What I used was it wasn't much of a home environment. So that's to be expected, I think, when you're the 1 seed. And sure, I mean, I'm sure Northwestern, this being their first time here, and they got a great following. You know, we've been really good on the road all year, so we told our guys actually coming down here to expect a road-type environment, but and play like it. So that's where kind of the mindset.
Second row, please.
Mark, Eddie Pels from AP. There's obviously been a ton of conference realignment over the last decade. Is there ever a day where Gonzaga looks at it and goes, you know, maybe we need to go somewhere?
I mean, sure, absolutely. I think we're very aware of what's been going on. You know, we've watched it, and certainly I think there's been, you know, discussions and you know, even theories and things like that. So we'll put ourselves in position to, you know, do whatever we have to do if there's movement that is indeed going to happen. I mean, we're going to look out what's best for Gonzaga.
Fifth row.
Coach George Smith, Fox 32 Chicago. What do you think makes Northwestern a dangerous team? How do you see them?
Oh gosh, well, first of all, they're really, really well coached. Chris has done a great job, like with this group, instilling confidence in them and just the schemes and both defensively and offensively that they utilize. You know, those guards are really proactive as far as, you know, what you give them off any of their actions, either pin downs or ball screens, and they're probably really hit that mid-range shot. You know, there's good shooters at the 3 line, but they can also, you know, hit that pull-up jumper or go down the lane, much like Nigel does for us, and kind of utilize the floaters and things like that. So just really, really sound defensively, and then you know, just guys in the right spots and making the right plays offensively, and you know, and then you got a guy like McIntosh who's just seems really smart, really clutch, and really tough.
Back row.
Hi, Mark. Vinny Duber with CSNChicago.com. You've had so many different tournament seeds throughout your time here. What is the difference between kind of that hunter versus hunted mentality?
Well, I mean, I think the key is just trying to be the hunter the whole time. It's not easy. I think you watch the way these games unfold, especially those 116s yesterday. But I think we ended up with as big a cushion as anybody at the end of it. But sometimes it just doesn't feel like that. And you're constantly reminding your guys, you know, we're probably not going to blow these guys out in the first 5 minutes or at the 12-minute timeout here. You just got to keep, you know, sawing wood and do what we do. I think as you get deeper in, then it just, you know, the seeds get farther and farther in the past, and you just focus in on matchups. You know, I mean, I feel like we're past that now, and now it's all about we got to play. This is a really good team we're playing, and we just have to play really good tomorrow, you know, or you don't advance.
Right there, third row.
Rebecca Cade, Fox 13 here in Salt Lake. In addition to the environment of playing here, John Stockton played for Gonzaga. You missed him by, what, 4 or 5 years? And then came.
Oh no, I missed him by more than that now.
Oh,
Okay, just and we're good friends. We're good friends, but he is older than me. Okay, let's all make a point of that. It's we work out together in the mornings. It's readily apparent who the younger spry guy is.
Have you guys talked about you know, coming here and playing where he played and as a motivation factor?
You know, not so much with this group, you know, but some of our other ones. But we get the luxury. Our guys get to see John all the time. I mean, he's literally immersed in our school, in our program, in our community. I mean, you could not have a greater role model, a greater ambassador, but yet our guys just see a normal guy, and basically he's known to all of our guys as David's dad. You know, I mean, that's where it's at now. So, because David played for us and had a great career, and John's daughter's a point guard on the women's team now. So, but I think they see the statue and the John Stockton Drive out there, and they think that's pretty cool that they know that guy and can call him a friend.
Okay, center right here.
I'm Eden Lassie, Gonzaga Bulletin. Size-wise, how do you expect Northwestern to kind of match up with your guys inside?
Well, Northwestern has doubled the post all year. They bring a post double on every catch. You know, we've seen that a lot this year, obviously, with Karnowski and even in, you know, as efficient as Zach Collins is, he's seen it also. So they'll be doubling the post. I would expect from the jump tomorrow.
Second row.
Zach Peerless, inside NU. Collins yesterday was able to come in after you guys started out a little cold, was able to hit some shots, just able to impact the game off the bench. What does he bring off the bench, and then how important is he going to be against kind of an undersized Northwestern?
Well, that's what Zach's done all year. I mean, he's like having another starter. Basically, that's how we look at it. And we have no issue. I have no issue playing him late in the games, playing him at crunch time, and finishing games with him. And excuse me, he great finisher around the hoop, very efficient. Could even pop out to 3 and hit some things, and then excellent rim protector, you know, with his athleticism.
Second row right here, please.
Coach, sorry to take you off this game, but I was just curious. You played both Arizona and St. Mary's. What would you tell Sean Miller about for a scouting report if you had the chance?
Oh, I mean, he knows that. His assistants and program understand it. I believe they've scrimmaged 2 of the last 3 years or something. So, but they're going to have to, they're playing a team with a PhD in ball screen execution. So the ball screen coverages, and they're going to have to deal with Lawndale. He's a heck of a low post player.
Okay, any more questions for Coach Few? Okay, right here, please.
Yeah, Coach Few, Christopher Bowen from the Green Valley News. So this year's team, obviously, a little more well-rounded, 5 guys scoring in double figures. What is the biggest difference between this year's teams and some of the ones you've had in the past as you guys make the quest to try to make it to the Final Four for the first time in school history?
Look, those other teams were really, really good teams. Every team you have every year has a new identity and does some things better and maybe not some things quite as well. I think this team, over the course of 34 games, I think it's 34 now, has shown just defensively we can really, really protect the rim at a high level. We've got some great depth inside. We can absorb foul trouble, foul pressure, which maybe some of those teams couldn't do in the past. And it's probably a little more balanced, but you look back on the one team that had Pangos and Bell and Karnowski and Sabonis and Wilcher. There's a lot of guys that could score the ball on that team as well. Byron Wesley. So I'd probably say just those. I think those other teams have been very solid defensively, but the rim protection piece and the depth with the bigs is probably the biggest difference.
Okay, second row.
Coach, just wondering in kind of a big picture sense, I know there's been a lot of talk about you and Sean Miller having teams that annually could be in the Final Four. This year, of course, maybe you meet each other, maybe don't. But does it ever come up? And I know you're kind of friendly. Does it ever come up between you two guys, like that you'll get there?
We're good friends, so we talk, we text, we root for each other, and have total respect, program to program, and staff to staff. But we don't. No, I think it's safe to say that you guys talk about the both of us not making a Final Four more than we ever talk about it. So, no, we talk hoops, we talk family, we talk, everything. He's a great guy, funny guy.
And if you could talk about real quick, in the age of the one and done, you guys have at least 2, 3, depending on the night, you have 2 or 3 seniors in the roster. How do you think that experience and that institutional knowledge and that starting 5 gives you guys, what kind of advantage do you think that gives you against a lot of teams that are starting maybe, a lot of sophomores, a lot of freshmen, guys that aren't as familiar with this stage, with playing in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much it affects you maybe in the NCAA tournament. It sure does affect you, as you progress through the season, the start of the year, just understanding what it's going to take. There's a real learning curve, especially with freshmen, learning just how hard they have to play, just how physical it's going to be, kind of the grind of the whole, hey, we're practicing, and then we got a game, then we got to turn around and practice again, taking the preparation, scouting plans and those things, understanding the attention to detail. I think that's sometimes difficult for freshmen, and then obviously those first road games and the grind of the league season. By now I don't know that freshmen are freshmen anymore. They got enough reps under their belt, and a lot of times they're probably playing kind of loose and free, and sometimes that can benefit them a little bit. But again, it just kind of, the biggest thing it helps with is the culture of your program, and I think that's something I'm most proud about. We've been able to maintain our culture and 19 straight NCAAs. I think the guys understand that. The guys understand. I think this is our 9th straight time we've won our first game in the tournament. I think our team understands that and takes pride in it, and so that gets handed down. Definitely from the upperclassmen.
Okay, any more questions for Coach Few?
All right,
Okay,
thanks.
Coach, thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Yep.
We will have the Northwestern student athletes here at 2:20 p.m. and loosened up. I like that. You know, set, ready to go. Yeah. Uh huh. Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. But you shook that off so nicely. You look like it didn't even affect you. Good. How are you today? George, how long have you been away from ESPN?
4 years.
Has it been 4 years? Wow. It didn't seem that long ago.
10 years.
Yeah. Did good work. You did good work. You still do good work, but we don't see you in Chicago out here, so. Gentlemen, how you doing? Okay, as the Northwestern student athletes who are taking their positions, we'll remind you again to please identify yourself by affiliation and by name before you ask your question, and please wait for the microphones as they are being brought to you. From my left to right, senior guard Sanjay Lumpkin, junior guard Bryant McIntosh, and sophomore center Derek Pardon. And we'll open up to questions for our student athletes. Third row right here, please.
Garrett Jochna, the Daily Northwestern. Sanjay, a question for you. What is it like going through this tournament knowing that each and every game could potentially be the last one you play in a Northwestern uniform?
It's crazy to think about. Being a fifth-year senior, that's a reality I obviously face, and just been playing it as a regular game. Just got to stay in character. Can't do anything crazy because that's a possibility that could be my last game, and just playing it as the most important game of our season. And that's what we've done really all March as a team too. Approaching every game as the most important game, and just locking in for it. And whatever happens, happens.
Fifth row back.
Dave on at WGN in Chicago. Derek, Coach talked after the game about your work ethic. You're the young guy in this group. Can you describe a little bit about how you got better at the free throw line and your overall work ethic and where that comes from?
I think a lot of it comes from just my upbringing. My parents really instilled, a hard work mentality into me. And so, I just carried that over into college. And especially my freshman year, when I redshirted the half of the non-conference year. So I really, just worked every day and just building my habits.
Okay, fourth row right here, please.
Ian McCafferty, Inside and You. How are you guys going to go about sort of slowing down or guarding Nigel Williams-Goss, their leading scorer, tomorrow?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a tough task, and first thing we have to do is keep him out of transition as best we can and corral him. He's a one-man fast break, so that'll be our first focus coming back on defense, and then we got to try and gap it up and get out to their shooters when he kicks it. But yeah, it's a tough task. He's one of the best players in the country, so Individually, I think Vic will probably draw the assignment, so he'll have to do a good initial job, and then it's our job to help him. It's team defense, so we have a tough task.
I'd say something to add to that also. Obviously, they have great length and size, and shooting good shots is vital. We can't throw up shots on the glass that will start their fast break for them, and especially they have the fast break without that. But if we throw up bad shots, it will really get it going for them.
Okay, fourth row, George.
George Smith, Fox 32 Chicago. A question for all of you guys. From the outside looking in, a lot of people are making this out to be a David versus Goliath type of thing. How do each of you view the matchup?
Go ahead.
We just see this as an opportunity. Obviously, Gonzaga is a great team. They're a #1 seed, and we fully respect them. But this is an opportunity for us to make history once again, just as we've done. No one expected us to win last game. No one even expects us to be in this tournament. And that's our mindset right now. And we just got another opportunity in front of us, tomorrow, and we're going to take it.
Yeah, and I just add on to that they're one of the best teams in the country. So you kind of understand that narrative that people are trying to give off, and I would be okay with being the David in this situation. Just from my upbringing, I understand the backstory of that one. So, that would mean a lot to everybody in the program, and I think it would be a great story for the country. But it's going to be tough. It's not going to just be one stone that we have to throw in order to beat them. We're going to have to play a really great 40 minutes and try and keep them out of transition, try and limit their paint touches, and keep them off the boards. So it's going to be a really tough task. They're a really good team.
Second row.
David Hoffman, Chicago Tribune. Last night, Coach Collins talked about how he believed you guys, this team, dealt with pressure as much as any team in the country because of the constant questions in the 78 years and all of those things that you guys are well aware of. How, looking back, how heavy was that weight, and when did you feel it lift?
When we went our little couple games skid, of course it got real heavy for us, We worked so hard, for just the season, to go down the drain, All of us didn't want that, and I think the game that really the weight was lifted was Michigan game, That was just a great experience for not only the team, but, the whole Wildcat community, It just uplifted everybody's spirits, and it was just a great game for us.
And Derek, it was a great experience for Derek.
Front row right here, please.
Steve Greenberg, Chicago Sun-Times. This for anybody who wants to answer it, but I'm thinking of Derek. First time you lay eyes on Karnowski, whether it's in person or watching video, compared with first time you lay eyes on Isaac Haas from Purdue, who looks just bigger, who looks just more impossibly large. I just saw Karnowski in the hallway, couldn't believe it.
Well, Haas is, is a pretty big guy. You see him a couple times a year. He's kind of built like an action figure. So, just real big and muscular. So Karnowski's kind of a little more heavy-set guy. They're both good players. I feel like they kind of played a similar game. They're good players.
Front row, Amy.
Amy Donaldson from the Deseret News. There's about 30 former players, Northwestern players here. Have you guys had any contact with any of them, or anybody offered you any advice that played in the program before you?
Yeah, there's been some players that we saw yesterday. Billy McKinney was at our hotel. He was here for the meal. Tavares Hardy, one of the old players, was here yesterday. Kevin Coble, he was a player. Saw him yesterday, and it's just great to, all the players I've played here in the past have had a part in this, and it's great to not only do this for ourselves, but we're doing this for them, making them feel as part of this as much as possible, and just what we've been doing is really special, and none of us want it to end.
Okay. Third row right here, please.
Ben Pope, Daily Northwestern. What did you guys learn yesterday about handling the pressure and the jitters of playing in the tournament, and how can you apply that tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we handled the pressure pretty well. We got off to a great start, I thought, and we played pretty well in the first half. Got to try and avoid foul trouble, but that happens. That's just part of the game. But we also understand that in March, the games are going to come down to the last couple possessions, last few minutes. So it's how you finish the game. It's about toughness and gritty work and making winning plays. So that's where the pressure really can set in, is in the last couple minutes and not letting it eat you alive and not making the moment bigger than what it is. It's just a game, but it's something we all love to do and care about to a great amount, especially with the guys that we have with us on this team. And we want to go out and do it for each other. So that's kind of what we look to. We look to each other and find strength in one another. And as a group, we go out and try and accomplish something great.
Your back row.
Sean Walker, KSL Salt Lake City. Brian, you touched on this a little bit yesterday after the game, but for all three of you, have you been surprised by the number of fans that are here in Salt Lake City? I mean, there's a lot of purple in the hotels and the restaurants in downtown Salt Lake, that kind of thing. Has it surprised any of you guys?
I think it's a little bit surprising, but when you do something for the first time, I think you're going to get a following that's a little different than what you're accustomed to. So it's nice to have that following, and I think our athletic department has done a great job of supporting us as well. They brought out a charter flight of like sports medicine and a lot of other staff at Northwestern to come support us. So it's not only that, but just alumni and just coming to want to be a part and see the first ever, and it's special, and we're really excited that they were able to join us and feel part of this.
I could also say for me especially, but I think all of us, I felt like it hit us the most when we were in the NCAA tournament and everything, when we came on the court for the first time yesterday, and we saw how much love our fans had and all the support. It was really unbelievable to look up in the stands and hear the chants about us, and it was it was just awesome to be obviously in that moment and just being here and knowing that our fans have our back like that. It was awesome.
Okay, Randy.
Randy Hollis, Deseret News. Brian, just to piggyback on that, how much of a factor was that crowd that was in your favor yesterday? How much did that help you guys down the stretch, and do you anticipate that being hopefully a factor in your favor tomorrow?
Definitely. First off, the crowd last night helped us tremendously, especially when they made that run in the second half. I thought we were a little bit tired at that point, so to have their energy kind of feed us and give us energy was really beneficial. And then, obviously tomorrow we'd like to see that same backing and maybe a little bit more purple. Maybe have a little bit of other fans jump on the underdog. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that we want, and I think it could help us. But I mean, obviously, a crowd doesn't win you a game. It's the guys on the floor, but they can do and go a long ways to help us.
Second row.
Brian, how do you avoid letting the feeling creep in that, okay, you look at it, no matter what happens tomorrow, the season is going to be a success based on what happened yesterday, and that maybe, are you concerned at all about the intensity not being there, maybe a feeling of satisfaction seeping in at all?
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem with our group. We came here to win, so we're not a group that is going to get fat and happy with the things we've accomplished, because otherwise we wouldn't be where we're at right now. We would have won the Michigan game and tailed off the rest of the year, but instead I think we're playing our best basketball, and this group wants to continue to play. We have a special group, and you just never know. As we talked about a little bit before, the message from Coach Collins was Dan Marino getting to the Super Bowl his rookie year and then never getting back. Nothing's guaranteed, and that's kind of what we are talking about constantly in our locker room, is just taking advantage of the moment and enjoying it.
Okay, Amy.
How much have you all had a chance to take in any other games, any other tournament games? And if so, do you have a favorite game that you've watched or moment?
I would say we've been out watching the games at the hotel and everything. Haven't really seen anything here at the arena, but the game I watched the most was a Notre Dame-Princeton game yesterday, and I thought that shot was going in at the end. But it's obviously exciting to watch every game. It's just great to see great basketball. Every game is close, no matter who's playing, and you're just seeing teams fighting for their lives out there. It's really it's great to see.
Fifth row.
Dave Zera, ESPN, for any of you guys. Gonzaga reminds you, like who, that you've played this season, if anyone?
What we've talked about is how they, kind of resemble Purdue. For us, they have obviously, great wings and guys that can shoot the ball. Whenever we stop them in transition, they have size and they can go to their guys in the post. And we face that a lot with Purdue with both Swanigan and Haas, and we feel like we have a game plan ready for that.
Okay, fifth row.
Defensively, how does Gonzaga stack up to maybe the toughest competition you guys have played so far?
They're a pretty good defensive team. They're big inside, so they can alter a lot of shots. I think what Brian touched on earlier, Sanjay, we can't, give them dumb shots. We can't shoot running hooks or anything that can start their fast breaks. I think their defense is a good way to start their offense, so I feel like we just can't, give them easy rebounds or easy shots.
A lot of the storylines from yesterday's game have been not about you guys winning, but more about the foul and that sort of thing. Does that give you extra motivation to win this next game and prove that you can win without this sort of overshadowing gaffe on the record?
I would say, yeah, it does give us extra motivation. I mean, everyone wants to talk about the foul, but they don't want to talk about the plays that we made down the stretch, the plays that BMAC made, the free throws that Derek made, the game that Scotty had. But that's something we faced, and that's something that I've faced all the time I've been at Northwestern. But everything's been overshadowed, and that's absolutely extra motivation. And it's going to be a huge game for us, and we're going to be ready on Saturday. And who knows?
I'd also add that while it is a little bit of motivation, we also can't focus on the narrative that was the last game. If we're so worried about that, then we're playing one of the best teams in the country. That's not something we can worry about. We have to worry about trying to do our best job of taking away the things that they like to do. So while it is a little bit of motivation, we're here. We're in the round of 32 with a chance to have a great victory to go to the Sweet 16. So that fouling at the end was that's just part of the game. Mistakes happen throughout a game. It's not something that caused them to lose. There's a lot of different plays that could have went their way that it would have allowed them to win. So it's not something that we're too worried about, but it is a little bit of motivation.
Front row.
Kind of on the note of the last question, although you just said you don't want to live in that moment of the last game, but you didn't get your chance to go down and try to hit a winning shot, a real thrill in the NCAA tournament. What do you guys think would have happened if not for that foul? How did you see that thing playing out?
I mean, I think BMAC would have gone down and probably scored just like he did right before that. And we all have confidence in him to do that, and made some huge plays down the stretch yesterday. And I was obviously we're all surprised that the foul happened, but there's no question in my mind that I think BMAC would have went down and scored.
I would have called a Brian McIntosh pull-up jumper.
Probably a floater, but yeah, probably something like that.
I'd say a floater. I would say a floater.
Okay, we have time for one more question for our student athletes. Okay, right there, please.
Just an off chance, but did you happen to run into Fisher Davis at the end or somewhere in the hallways? Did you have a chance to talk to him?
No, I wasn't able to run into him, but you certainly feel bad for him. A lot of the talk has been about his foul, so I know that has to be a terrible situation, a terrible feeling to have, to know your season ended and to have a lot of the blame put on you when the game's played 40 minutes, not in the last two. There's a lot of mistakes that were made throughout the game that could have changed the outcome and not even brought up that play possibly. So, it's unfortunate, and you just feel bad for him.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck tomorrow. we'll begin with an opening statement from Coach Collins and then open up for questions.
Well, we're really excited about the opportunity in front of us tomorrow, playing a great program, one of the best teams in the country this year. Going to be a tough challenge, but it's going to be a super opportunity. I mean, you get to this point in the tournament, everybody's really good. I mean, by the time we tip off on Saturday, there's only 32 teams left playing. So we're excited about that. I know our guys are looking forward to the chance to getting back out there and competing and see what we can do tomorrow.
Go ahead, center right here.
Aaron Falk with the Salt Lake Tribune. When you've watched them on tape, how do they look defensively compared to some of the other teams you've stacked up against this year?
Yeah, I mean, they're very sound defensively. You know, getting a chance last night to really watch a lot of tape. Their guards put good pressure on the ball. They force you out of your stuff a little bit. They try to take you out with their denials, and then they have great size in the paint. So if you are able to beat them off the dribble or are able to get in there, they're hard to score against because of their length and size at the basket. So they're very disciplined on that end of the floor, and there's a reason why they have the record that you can't just rely on offense to win the games they've won. And I think they're very underrated when it comes to their defense. They have so much firepower offensively, but when it comes to their defense, I think they're very sound in a lot of areas. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on us to really execute well. We're going to have to screen well. We're going to have to cut hard. We're going to have to move the ball and hopefully find the right shots.
Third row.
Karnowski's size alone presents some matchup problems, but how much more difficult is it to game plan for him because of his passing ability?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. It might be the best thing he does, as well as he scores. Just watching on tape, you know, when you do send double teams down or you do collapse on him, he's got a great feel for the game. He finds open guys, and then the way they can all score. I think there's 7 guys on our team. I thought I was reading there's 7 guys on their team that have scored at least 18 in a game. I mean, that's a lot of depth and firepower offensively, and it shows it's not just 1 or 2 guys you got to stop. You got to contend with a lot. So he's a very tough matchup. His size, his feel, his ability to score. You know, you're going to have to kind of change up your looks on him a little bit and try to get him out of his rhythm the best you can, and hopefully also that he doesn't get your whole team in foul trouble, you know, just with his power down there.
Kurt?
Chris, being here in Quinn Snyder's arena,
oh, yeah.
What's your favorite memory of playing for him at Duke, and how would you describe the Collins family relationship with him?
Yeah, no, Quinn is really special to me. Quinn, obviously I got to know him really well being at Duke, and Quinn was hired going into my senior year. He had just finished a combination law business school degree 2-year program, and he's as smart as they come. I always respected him. He was hired on the staff, and I give him a lot of credit. For me personally, my development as a junior, I really struggled. I had a tough junior year. It's the year Coach K was sick, and Quinn came in his energy, and he really kind of took me under his wing, and we did a lot of work together, and I came out my senior year and had a really special season and made All-ACC that year. So I've always been a big fan. We've always been close. My dad gave him his first opportunity in the NBA in Philadelphia as one of his assistant coaches, and I'm not surprised by his success. I mean, he's a really smart, he's a basketball guy, and I'm really happy for him. But he's always been really close and to our family and a special guy. Wish he was in town.
Second row.
Chris, do you have a relationship with Mark Few, and in the coaching industry, is he viewed as one of these examples of, you always hear, you know, when guys are looking at jobs, bigger isn't always better, and sometimes, you know, there are reasons that go beyond, you know, money, that why people stay at certain jobs?
Yeah, I've gotten to know Mark a little bit, you know, just through the years, being when you're out on the road recruiting and you're in the gyms, you come across these guys, you get a chance to chat and talk, and I've always admired that about him. You know, he's made Gonzaga his home, and he's built a national power there, and he felt, you know, he's happy. He loves living out there. He's got a great program, you know, and he knows that's where he's supposed to be, and I admire that. And I think he's a great coach. And, you know, I'm an old school guy like that. I always like to see how great coaches handle themselves. You know, I think he handles himself great in all situations. I think his demeanor is really good on the sideline, how he interacts with his guys, the media, all those things. So, you know, he's been a great example for us young coaches that are in the profession now of how to do things the right way and, you know, how to handle all situations.
Third row right here.
Tim Bulkdale, Northwestern. After yesterday, do you try to get Vic some easier shots, or is it just a matter of him waiting for him to start hitting some shots that he probably could have hit yesterday?
Yeah, I think it's important to try to get Vic established early. I think you guys that have covered us know that when he gets off to a good start, it usually leads to a good game. And we weren't able to do that yesterday. Part of that was Vanderbilt's defense. Part of that was maybe we didn't make a conscious effort to get him, you know, the ball in the scoring areas where he could at least see the ball go in the basket. And, you know, I thought in the second half he was more aggressive. You know, in the first half, he kind of got out of the flow, and Scotty and B-Mac had it really going, and they carried us. But, you know, Vic really wasn't in the rhythm. And then the second half, he tried to and wasn't really able to get going. I think 7 of his 8 shots were in the second half. So, you know, he's a big part of what we're doing. There's no secret. When we play well, our wings usually produce, Law and Lindsay. And so it's going to be important tomorrow. Can we get him in the post? Can we get him something easy just to see the ball go in and kind of get him back on track to being the guy he's been most of the year?
Front row, Amy.
Amy Donaldson from Deseret News. I was wondering in your film study if you looked at the BYU game, their only loss, and if there's anything you saw there in particular that you might be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the games that we watched as a staff last night. I thought BYU played great. They made a lot of shots, you know, which I think you have to do. I mean, you got to, as simple as it sounds, you know, you have to score against this team to beat them. You're not going to hold them. They have too much firepower. So you can play great defense, but you still have to find a way to score against them. And I thought that's what BYU did. They made shots from the perimeter. Their big man, you know, I think had 29 that night and got to the foul line and was able to get some easy buckets. And, you know, I thought part of it too, I thought Gonzaga, it was senior night and they had all the undefeated pressure against them. And, you know, I think it probably relaxed them, you know, kind of maybe getting that loss and kind of just getting settled back into chasing a national championship now. So there were a few things you can take, but obviously everyone has different styles and different ways they play. So, you know, the main thing we try to do is I've seen them on TV a few times, but last night was really important for me to just watch them a lot. You know, I tried to watch as many games as I could just to get a better feel for who they are. I really hadn't seen them other than highlights, you know, play a lot. So it was a good chance for me to get to know their personnel and their style really well.
Fourth row.
Chris, Chuck Culpepper from the Washington Post. You have a really varied background in this lunatic sporting event, and to convey it to your players. I'm wondering how much Scotty Thurman's shot and that night still live in your brain.
Come on, man.
I have a YouTube of it. And can that kind of thing be helpful for a coach now at all?
You know, I try not too much with our guys to talk about when I played. You know, I just don't think it's relevant. They know I played. You know, there might be certain experiences that I bring up, but, you know, that was a tough night. I mean, that was playing for a national championship. It was the game you always dreamed of playing, and Scotty hit a great shot. And then what people don't realize after that is I had a shot to tie it, you know, on the next possession. That was from the top of the floor that went in and out that I thought I made when I shot it and just didn't go down. So, you know, that was one of the toughest memories. It was one of the greatest memories, but also one of the toughest because you came that close to being a national champion. But with our guys, you know, I've tried to use my experience of being in the NCAA tournament a lot to help with just how we manage this all with media and the hoopla and everything that goes along with being in an NCAA tournament. But I've tried to shy away from talking about what I did. First of all, I'm too old now. None of them know that I even could play at all. So I haven't talked about it too much, and I was in a great mood until you brought that up. So thank you.
Fourth row right there, please.
Ian McCaffrey, and you, Coach, sort of what does Nigel Williams-Goss bring to the team for Gonzaga, and how are you guys going to go about sort of slowing him down or stopping him tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, he's a one-man fast break. I knew he was a great player, and then getting a chance to watch them on film a lot. I mean, he creates so much offense for them in the open floor. You know, you really have to do a good job of trying to stop him and forcing them as best you can to play in the half court. I mean, there are so many times that they outlet that ball and he just makes it happen. So we're going to have to get back. And they remind me in our league a little bit like Michigan State in that regard. I mean, Michigan State's the one team in our league that really gets you on your heels with their fast break game. I think Gonzaga mirrors that a little bit. But he's the guy that makes them go. There's no question. He's a great player. He's got a swagger to him, the way he carries himself, his poise. And, a big part of what we're going to have to do to stay in this game is to make sure that he doesn't go crazy against us.
Okay, question right over here, please.
Chris, on paper, this looks like a real David versus Goliath when you look at the size they have. But how have your kids not been able to tell me why they don't become intimidated in these situations or even embrace a Cinderella mentality? They are so confident that they belong and believe that they're going to win this game.
Well, I think, we play in the Big Ten. So, I know we've never been here, and this is all new territory, and it's really exciting and all those things. But, night in and night out, we're playing against pretty high-level competition throughout the year. And so, our guys draw confidence from that. We've had to go down the line and play the Michigans and the Purdues and the Wisconsins and Michigan States. And so, when we get in these atmospheres, I think our guys, there's a confidence and a belief that we belong. And I like that. You have no chance to be successful if you don't have that belief and confidence in yourself. So, that's why for us, we don't really view ourselves as a Cinderella story because, we feel we've played a great schedule. We've played a lot of high-level teams, and we've done well. And so, this is just another example of that. We need to use our experiences that we went through in the conference and in the preseason to carry it out tomorrow when it matters most on the biggest stage in the NCAA tournament.
Okay, fourth row right there.
Hey, Chris, what were the qualities in Derek Pardon that you saw that made you want to bring him in?
Yeah, well, it was interesting. Derek played with a really great player in high school, Carlton Bragg, who's a good player for Kansas. And, we went into the high school to see him play. And I'm very friendly with this high school coach. I've known for a long time, played point guard at West Point. And so he kept telling me, Carlton's really good, but I got a kid who's special. And you got to come in, you got to check this kid out. Carlton gets all the hype, and he should. He's real good. But I'm telling you, this kid Pardon's going to be great. And, Derek, when Derek was in 8th grade, he was about 55 pounds heavier than he is now. And he's had to work to change his body, to work on his game, to get better. And he's always been like a lunch pail type of kid. He's never wanted any attention. He just shows up every day. He's pretty quiet by nature, but he's a competitor. And I went to see him play a couple times, and every time he'd get every rebound. He'd run the floor hard every time. When he got the ball, he'd finish. If not, he wouldn't say anything. He'd just keep competing. He'd keep battling. I just said, man, there's something about this kid I really like. And, he's been fantastic for us. We believed in him from the beginning in recruiting, and he believed in us. He committed early. And it's been a match, I think, made in heaven with the two of us because he fits everything that I want in a player. He wants to show up every day. He wants to get better. He wants to compete against the best. And he's I know I talk about Sanjay a lot, but in a lot of sense too, he's a big rock for our team as well.
Right here, please.
Hey, Chris, Vinny Dubercius in Chicago. You talked a lot about confidence a couple answers ago. Where did that confidence start? Where did it originate? And how did it get augmented when you guys beat Wisconsin, when you guys beat Michigan, when you guys beat Maryland throughout the year?
Yeah, I thought our confidence really started in the offseason. There was just something different when we were working out in the summer, when we were working out in the fall. I just noticed the swagger to our guys. There was just a different feel. When we were doing drills and we were competing in practice, I could just sense that they were ready to be good, and they believed it. There was no more hoping we belonged. It was, no, we're good. We're going to win. And I really think our confidence grew early in the season. We had a stretch of games. We went to Butler and played in Hinkle Fieldhouse right out of the gates, and we lost at the buzzer. But we played great. We went toe-to-toe. They're one of the best teams in the country. Back and forth, very poised, very tough. We just lost on a last shot. We then went to New York and played Texas and Notre Dame. We beat Texas, lost to Notre Dame where we turned it over on the last possession when we were winning. Then came home and we beat Wake Forest, who was an NCAA tournament team. So I thought that stretch of games really showed our guys and showed our staff, we have a chance to be pretty good this year, and we need to take advantage. We need to be confident because we can do some damage, and I think that stretch was really important for us.
Okay, we have time for one more question right here, please.
Chris, I think when you guys do what you did yesterday and this week, you capture imagination, and people start to wonder what's the ceiling. And how has this week, in your mind, changed the expectations for Northwestern basketball?
I mean, me personally, it hasn't changed it at all, and I've talked about it since I understand what the NCAA tournament meant to everyone at Northwestern, and it was great. It is great. It's everything we all dreamed of. But, I said from the moment I was hired that, my dream for Northwestern is to be a championship level program. And I don't think there's any reason why we can't eventually get there. We have work to do. We have to continue to recruit well and develop guys and get better in different areas. But, where we are in Chicago in the Big Ten, we have a huge facilities renovation project going on with a new arena, pracs facility, offices. In my mind, there was no reason why we couldn't compete against anyone nationally. And that's how I still feel. But that being said, we have work to do. And this is just a great step along the way. And this is a great opportunity for us to continue to push forward and eventually be that program that we want to be.
Okay, Coach. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, guys.
And good luck tomorrow.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Three, 24 and 25? Yeah. Okay. Nar, Harlanson, and Rayhan? Yep.
Team hasn't even shown up yet. Here yet, but they're not practicing.
How's it going? Still at it. Is your boy still down at our place, or? Okay. Okay. It's a good start, though. It's all right. All right. Well, it's good. Yeah, that's okay. There may be an opening or two. Take a look. Always use the help. It was going all right. Got through basketball season okay, and now we're baseball, softball, and good times. Yeah, it's going to get hot. We're in the process of getting a new track installed, new football field installed, and yeah, and then, yep, and then have an east grandstand built eventually in the next year or two. Add a few more thousand seats so we can have close to 10,000 seats. So when it comes time to host playoff games, we'll be able to host playoff games down there instead of having our kids driving up north. Although, as much fun as it is to play at the U, you know, for playoffs. And now that the majority of the teams are going 4A, so it'll be fun. Yeah, it is. We're gonna have our 5th high school in the area open in the next year. Crimson, it's east. Everybody's kind of heading east. So it's weird to have 5 high schools. We're gonna have 5 high schools in that area. Yeah. When I moved down there in 01, I was like, oh, okay, I can handle this. Boom. 16 years later, it's like I'm kind of glad I'm up here this week because of spring break. Because over President's Weekend, last weekend, and this weekend, it's just brutal. Right. And people don't think it's going to be like that, but when it does happen, people start asking about what we can do for the infrastructure. Well, there were a couple of things on the ballot that didn't pass that could have helped out, but we'll see. I don't know. But it's going to be all right. It'll be good. We'll keep growing, and we get that new health and human performance building built that we got the money for from the legislature. That'll help boost our enrollment up to about 12. We'll probably see it skyrocket to hopefully around 12 in the next couple of years, and then we'll just take off with the addition of the new programs that'll go into that facility. It'll be awesome. Yes, it did. It did. Yeah, I oversee the collegiate licensing part of it, so yes, we're very happy with that, with the new branding. So it's been a good change. I likened the, I know this is going over the mics, but I used this analogy and it seemed to work perfectly. The Rebel was Lavelle Edwards. I hope I'm not going to say anything out of turn. The Red Storm, Croton. Okay, and now the Trailblazer, probably a mix between, okay, it's not Croton, and okay, it's Mendenhall, but now Sataki's kind of reinvigorated it. So we'll use it in those terms, and people go, oh yeah, that's a good analogy, yeah, sure. So not to say Gary Croton's like the Red Storm or anything like that, but it was the man who replaced the man who replaced the man. And Lavelle was the man. So, and it's hard to do that. You saw it here with the Jazz, you know, how you replace the man. Well, Frank Lane was the man, then you had Sloan was the man, and now Quinn's kind of now doing his thing. So, bless you. Okay, they'll be here momentarily. Or they're not practicing today, so they'll just be here for their media availability, and then they're gone. So as soon as they're here, we'll get going. They just decided they didn't want to do it. Or they probably did it this morning at off-site, which I'm assuming is probably what they did. What's that? Yep. We'll see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think this is the first time it's been at this angle. I think other times it's been like that, facing that way. I think it works fine. When are they going to start doing that? So, after their playoff run? Will they have it ready to go by October? Or will it be a work in progress? Yeah. Where do the Stars play? In Orem? What, Slick? Okay. Okay. That's not bad. Yeah. And they got the practice facility out here too, so they don't need to really work. I mean, this is more for a game day thing than anything else. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. How's Ballin' Boy doing? He's still, I hear he's up with the big club. Yeah. Well, that's good. Keeps him sharp. Adds depth, too. Yeah. Kind of excited for that. Okay, they are on their way back from the locker room, so they'll be here momentarily. Gentlemen, welcome. Okay, as the St. Mary's student athletes are taking their places, we'll ask you to please identify yourself by name and affiliation as you ask your question. Please wait for the microphones as they're brought to you. Introducing first, from my left to right, junior forward Calvin Hermanson, junior guard Emmett Nahr, and senior guard Joe Rayhan. We'll open up for questions for our student athletes, please.
Christopher Deek, Arizona Daily Wildcat. So how do you guys prepare for like a non-conference opponent, someone so unfamiliar in such a short period of time? What's the process like?
It's good to play somebody that's not in our league again. I'd say that for a non-conference opponent, we usually just kind of, it's a normal routine, watch film, and kind of get to know our matchups and stuff like that, and just try and do a good job of, like limiting transition and trying to figure out like what the team's good at and try and take that away.
You're right there.
And, you guys have scrimmaged Arizona in the past, but this will be the first time you've played each other in a regular season game for a couple years at least. How much do you know about the Wildcats, and what do you expect from guys like Kadeem Allen and from the University of Arizona in general? How much do you know about the Wildcats?
Yeah, we've played them. We didn't play them this year in this preseason scrimmage, but I think we played them 3 straight years before that. So we're familiar with some of their personnel, familiar with their style a little bit, which helps. But they've got, obviously, they have freshmen that are 2 freshmen that start. I think 1 or 2 that come off the bench that are impact players for them. So we haven't seen them, but yeah, playing them in the scrimmage, you kind of get you have somewhat of a familiar sense of just their style of play and their defensive principles, their offensive system. So that definitely helps rather than preparing 2 days for a team you're completely blind to and you have no idea what they're about. So the familiarity, yeah, got it, crushed that one, will help a little bit, but they're a really good team and we're excited for the challenge.
Hey, 5th row.
Eddie Pels with AP. It's kind of on the same note, and I'm sorry for the just not knowing, but when you're scrimmaging a team that's another team that's, like Arizona, what's the kind of difference in the intensity level? I mean, are you trying to prove something? Or are you just trying to work on things? What's the deal there?
Yeah, obviously it's quite a lot different from the NCAA tournament, a preseason scrimmage. With no fans there or anything, no one watching, the intensity is obviously a bit down, and as well, at that stage in the season, you're sort of more focusing on yourselves, so less on them. Like, you don't scout them much. You're more trying to get through like your own plays, things like that. So there's definitely a real different feel to it. And we'll be doing a lot of preparation, what we can today and tomorrow to get ready for this game. That's something you don't really get in the preseason game. So it will be obviously a lot different, but just having those 3 years, as Joe said, under our belt of playing them a few times, that definitely helps.
Okay, right here. 3rd row.
RJ Abadia, rushthecourt.net. For Joe or just any of the guys, having had a chance to look at the game last night, is there anything specific that you guys want to clean up before tomorrow's game?
Yeah, we didn't think we were great defensively yesterday. We let VCU get to the paint too much, get too many shots around the rim. So that's definitely something that we know Arizona likes to do. All their guards are really good at getting to the basket. They're big and strong, and they can finish in traffic. So that's something we're going to have to clean up for sure. And I think we turned it over like 15 times, which is high for us. We try to keep it to 10 or lower. So in that area, we're going to try to pick it up a little bit too. And so yeah, those are probably the 2 areas we need to get better at quickly in order to have a chance to win this game tomorrow.
Christopher Deek, Arizona Daily Wildcat. So you guys have obviously played Gonzaga 3 times now. Talk about how much you guys maybe compared the tape watching the Arizona-Gonzaga game in preparation.
Yeah, we talked about how they're pretty similar, like size-wise. Both teams have a pretty good inside attack. Gonzaga did a good job against us of scoring in the paint down low, and obviously Arizona's got some big size down low as well. So we're gonna try and limit their points in the paint, and I'd say that's where they're most similar, probably.
2nd row.
One more scrimmage question. Calvin, I'm guessing you played in a couple of those, right? And from what I've heard, they were pretty competitive both times, and do you remember that? I mean, is there a sense at all, like, who's playing better, or you really just don't care at that point?
I mean, like, it's the scoreboard's still on, so yeah, we're keeping score. But yeah, I've played in a few of them. Like Emmett said, it's before the preseason even starts. So again, we're more focused on how we're doing and how we're like preparing for the season as we go forward. So again, not a lot of scout or anything like that. But yeah, I'll tell you, like, both games were pretty competitive. Like, it was pretty. It wasn't the intensity wasn't too far down, but it was competitive and should be a good one on tomorrow.
Follow-up question.
What did you find those gave you guys more confidence heading into the season that you can play against the team? Because they were, I think 2 years ago, they were pretty highly rated. To know that you could do that, and you went on to have a good season yourself. Did it make a difference, I guess?
Yeah, I think both times we try and, like, every year we've scrimmaged teams before the season starts, and it just kind of helps after that, like, 6-week grind of practice where you're only playing against yourself, and being able to do a preseason scrimmage where you finally get to play against somebody else, and then having success there really helps build your confidence going into the season.
Okay. Fourth row.
Obviously, the game yesterday against VCU, very physical game, a lot of fouls, more than 50 fouls in that game yesterday. How do you think, facing that full court pressure that VCU is known for, the havoc style of defense, how do you think facing that for 40 minutes prepared you guys for what Arizona is going to throw at you? Obviously, they don't play much full court press, but they play a lot of pack line defense, a lot of pressure in the half court at least. What do you expect, or how would you say that first game really got you guys ready for facing the Wildcats and facing Sean Miller?
Yeah, it's a good question. It was a good adjustment for us in terms of athleticism, coming from our league. There's obviously some good athletes in our league, but VCU can run 7, 8, 9 great athletes at you. So kind of seeing that athleticism, being able to deal with it is probably the biggest difference. Is like you said, VCU's more full court pressure, and Arizona will be more half court. And they'll pressure you in the half court, but they'll let you bring the ball up the court without much problems. So seeing that athleticism, and I think on the boards too, especially where you're going up for rebounds, you really got to box out when the team's super athletic. So VCU gave us a little taste of that, and Arizona's big, like Calvin and Emmett said, and we'll have to do a good job on the boards against them too. So I think the athleticism and the size kind of yesterday helped us prepare a little bit for what we're going to see tomorrow for sure.
Okay, second row.
For Joe and Calvin, I was just wondering, what's it like not to be Australian on this team? Is it?
Oh, it's the best. We outnumber them 8-7, so we'll hold court. But it's cool just kind of being able to grow up. You grow up, obviously, you don't really know much about. You never know Australians, or in my hometown at least. I don't know about Calvin, but and then you just get to meet all of them, and they're from different parts of Australia, but they all like talk the same, and they all kind of laugh at the same jokes. So it's pretty funny to kind of like dive into their culture a little bit and learn about the second best country in the world, I guess.
Yeah, very true. I mean, coming in, like Joe said, didn't have much of a big taste for the Australian culture, but like my freshman year, I lived with Dane Pinot, and he's been awesome. Getting to know this guy is pretty fun as well. So they're great. They're great in the locker room, but as Joe said, it's really important that we hold down the majority in the locker room, and we keep them in their place.
Okay, fourth row.
Lynn Worley from the Salt Lake Tribune. You guys had talked a little bit about the size that Arizona has. I wonder what your sense is of Markkanen, who's one of their freshmen, who's a guy that you haven't seen in person before, but obviously has got a lot of attention so far this season.
Just a few games we've got to watch and sort of the scout we've gone over, and obviously a guy playing on a great team like that and a great player, you hear a lot about him. It's hard not to be impressed with how he plays. A 7-foot guy that can shoot it so well, and as a freshman, what he's doing is really impressive. But I think our coaching staff's, we're going to have to go in with a game plan to try and limit him because he's a big part of what they do, obviously. And we think we do have some size and some personnel that can match up with him. Just try and make it tough for him. Obviously, great players like that, they can find a way to do it. But we'll try and make it as tough for him as possible and see what we can do.
I'll take a question right here, please.
Brendan Smith, Salt Lake Tribune. Guys, looking at Jock's efficiency, how is he so efficient? What do you see from him when you're on the court that he's so versatile in so many different ways and keeps that efficiency as one of the best guys in the country?
Yeah, he's really skilled. Like if you throw it to him back to the basket, left shoulder, right shoulder, I don't really think he cares. He can kind of just read and react to how his defender's playing him. And then he's got really great hands, so if me and Emmett or any of our guards are coming off on balls and you kind of throw it in the vicinity, if he gets a hand on it, he's probably going to catch it. And then he's just really gifted in terms of his touch. I know he came in my redshirt year, his freshman year, and he was a little bigger and slower back then. But he was always just naturally, his touch around the basket was always really impressive. So he has a knack for scoring, and he's a really unselfish guy. So if they send doubles at him, he's not going to force up a bad shot just to get a shot up. He's a very willing passer. So it makes so teams can't really just send doubles at him because he'll kick it out, and we have some shooting around him that helps. So yeah, he takes good shots, and he's got great hands, and he's really skilled. So that combination in a big guy is pretty dangerous. That's why you see his efficiency is kind of through the roof.
Second row.
Emmett, I was just wondering at this point, with all the success St. Mary's has had with players from Australia, do you grow up, I mean, what's it like there? Did you grow up thinking that, is St. Mary's, a place to go? Is it sort of automatically in your mind as a young player? Or how, what's the knowledge of St. Mary's over there?
Yeah, I think as I was sort of coming up through the ranks, St. Mary's was pretty big on my radar because I know when Delhi was here and when Paddy was here, they were getting a lot of TV time, and obviously they were having a lot of success. So a lot of their games were on TV, and with the time difference, it's on usually during the middle of the day, so it's a pretty good time to be able to watch. So I think always St. Mary's was on my radar. I know for sure, and quite a few guys, you sort of see that as a place they'd want to go. You want to go somewhere that's comfortable, and with all the Australians here, it's easy to sort of fit in. So yeah, when they started recruiting me, it was probably immediately then was the #1 school I wanted to go to, and I know I came in at the same time as Dane, who was a good friend of mine even back home, so that just made it even more appealing.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
Just RJ Beatty, rushthecourt.net. For Emmett, are you able to keep track of the Australian players who are in there right now playing as high schoolers? Is there kind of a way that you guys communicate and keep touch with one another? And if you have you heard anything about Isaac White?
No, to be honest, I just like the people I would sort of know that I was already friends with. I've been in college now for a while, so the guys who are coming up now in high school, quite a bit younger than me, so I don't have too much to do with them, to be honest.
Okay. We'll excuse our student athletes. Thank you, and best of luck tomorrow. Okay, Coach Bennett is just wrapping up with CBS, and as soon as he is done, he will be in here. Okay, we will begin with an opening statement from St. Mary's head coach Randy Bennett.
I'm just excited. We're excited to still be playing. So it's we had a tough game last night against VCU, and now we have a tough game against Arizona coming up, and that's how it is in the NCAA tournament. There's no easy ones, and we know that. So we're just excited to be playing in the second round.
Okay, open up questions for second row right here.
Dan Wolkin from USA Today Sports. Randy, how confident were you that Jock, with the weight loss, would actually become the kind of player? Did you think that was sort of the key for him, or were there other things that he had to work on?
We thought that Jock would be a really good offensive player if he would get his body in shape and get a little more athletic, so that he could defend better and stay on the court longer. We thought his offense would play out, and so that's pretty much what happened. He was last year when he came off the bench, he was our leading scorer per minute. So we were like, all right, this guy can score. He helps us there, but we have to get him better defensively so we can keep him on the court, and that's what happened.
Okay, third row.
Vic Tafer, San Francisco Chronicle. What's the biggest challenge that Arizona presents to you?
There's a few of them, but they can be really dangerous in transition, and they're big on the boards. Very similar to VCU that way. They have a few more ways to score. I think they have a lot of guys. They're pretty balanced. They have a lot of guys that can make a basket on that team. I think some of that, though, they get in transition. Some guys get baskets in transition. So I think it gets back to those two things.
Second row right here.
Randy, it seems like you have a pretty good relationship or friendship with Sean Miller, and I was curious as to how that came about. How would you describe it?
You know, I think I know I had a respect for him just watching him from afar and watching his teams. They're really well coached, and defensively they're really good. And so I'd kind of watch him from afar, and then we were sitting up there. We were sitting in Vegas recruiting, and we struck up a conversation. And he had studied what we do, which caught me off guard a little bit. And he'd studied McConnell and Dellavedova and that group, and we talked about that. We talked about the how we got to where we were offensively, and so then we decided we'd scrimmage each other, and he was doing us a favor that way. So that's kind of where it started, and I think there's a mutual respect there. It was good for us to scrimmage them early. We did, I think, 3 years in a row. We didn't this year. We were going to, but then they needed to play an exhibition game instead. But we got to know each other through those scrimmages and just going against each other's team and sharing information. So he's a class act. He's a really good coach, and he's a friend. So it's you don't get in this situation often where you're playing one of those guys that you're friends with, you have a good relationship with in the NCAA tournament.
Fourth row right over here.
Christopher Bowen, Green Valley News. What do you expect with Arizona from guys like Kadeem Allen, and the fact that Arizona has a mixture of older guys like Kadeem Allen, a senior, and also a lot of talented freshmen? What do you expect from the older guys like Allen and the younger guys like Markkanen and Simmons and Alkins and all the other underclassmen that Arizona has?
Yeah, I don't know if I separate them that way when I watch them. We've seen Kadeem. He's really improved as a player. I saw him when he came in as a sophomore, I think, JC transfer. But all those guys we've seen, we've scrimmaged them for 3 years. So, Cartwright come through, all those guys. So I don't know. We haven't gone against they're freshmen, and they're good, they're talented. I think that's how a lot of those top 5, top 10 programs in the country are. They get those freshmen that are probably one and done or two and done, and Sean has, Arizona has, they've had them, and so he knows how to mix that in. For me, at this point of the year, they're all players. So they obviously their freshmen have been exceptional, and they play off of them, but that's when they're that good, that's what you do with them.
Okay, third row right here, please.
Brendan Smith, Salt Lake Tribune. Coach, looking at the front court, just size and length of Arizona, how do you get Jock opportunities in that, and how do you keep him out of foul trouble when he has to defend guys like Ristich and Comanche and Markkanen?
Yeah, we'll need our depth on that. We'll need our depth inside. I think Jordan Hunter will be a factor, and Dane, Pinot, Fitzner, Kyle Clark. We'll need our depth inside. So they have good depth inside, and they're big inside. Yeah, I'm sure they have a plan on how they're going to defend Jock and our bigs, but we'll adjust to whatever they go with. We've seen teams with this size before. We have two in our league. We have BYU's big and Gonzaga's big. Gonzaga's real big. So it'll be like that. It's not like it's something we haven't seen. We know they're good. We know they're big, and they're more than that. Their guards are good.
Okay, fourth row right here, please.
Lynn Worthy from the Salt Lake Tribune. Coach, what is sort of your observation so far of Markkanen as a freshman, and what do you feel like is going to be some of the keys to slow him down? He had a big first half last night, sort of carried him for part of that game.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch them. I really haven't watched them much this year, and so to finally watch them against Pac-12 teams and all that as you're scouting them. He's a really talented offensive player. He's a good player. Not to say he's not a good defender and all that, but for a freshman, he's a really good offensive player. Like, he can really shoot the ball, but he's more than that. He can put it on the floor. He can score in the post. Doesn't take bad shots. So he's a fun player to watch, really. So hopefully we're not watching him. Hopefully we're guarding him tomorrow.
Okay, fourth row right here, please.
Christopher Deek, Arizona Daily Wildcat. We've talked a lot about these scrimmages. How helpful are they when you're preparing with just one day for a team that you don't play twice a year in the non-conference? How do you prepare in such a short time for a game like this?
I don't think the scrimmages are a factor. Because we didn't scrimmage them this year. If we had scrimmaged them this year, it would be a little bit of a factor for us. So it's not that big a deal. Thursday to Saturday, I mean, you get 48-hour turnaround. We do that. That's what conference tournament, we do it in 24 hours. Those are the tough ones. But 48's not bad. We're not going to do much with our guys today. We're going to rest them. But as far as they've seen so many scouts, there's nothing new here. It's new guys but the concepts of what you're defending and how they're going to defend you we've seen it all by this time.
Right over here, please.
Justin Spears, Arizona Daily Wildcat. Coach, when you're originally from Mesa, and when you were playing at Mesa Community College, it was right before Lute Olson came to Arizona. Can you just talk about kind of the culture of Arizona basketball, what it was like before Lute Olson came, and just kind of the rise of the program?
It's funny. I was just thinking about that today. I saw it. I was around for Snowden's days. That's when I was growing up, and they were actually pretty good then. And then it declined. And then Luke came in, and I was friends with Brock Brunkhorst. He was one of his first recruits, and I saw the thing go. It's just every year it got better. I think Luke's first year they struggled a little bit, and then they started putting it together. And it's good. I think as a coach, as a young coach, when I was coming up, you start studying those. All right, how did they get good? How did Arizona happen? Because when I was in high school, Arizona State was ahead of Arizona, and then that it changed, and it's never really changed back. And so Tucson, Arizona basketball was a big deal, but you didn't know. And then once it happened, everybody's like, oh yeah, Arizona basketball, they're top 10 in the country. They weren't back then, but to see that evolve. For one, it was pretty cool. For one, that they sustained it and kept it rolling. Sean's done an awesome job there. That's hard to sustain what they already had, and he's done that. But yeah, to see that happen, you learn from it, you study it, and it's cool for a community like Tucson. It's become such a huge part of that city.
Okay, we have time for two more questions. First, right there, and then right there, please.
Coach, Bruce Pasco at the Arizona Daily Star. And those first 2 of the 3 scrimmages, Arizona went on to have really good years. And I think the buzz was that the first year you guys beat them, or so whatever. I know you don't technically keep score. And then the second year also very competitive. Do you remember that? And did that surprise you or give you any more sense of confidence with what you had?
Well, we definitely keep score, and you tend to forget when you didn't do well. But when you win, if you're St. Mary's or scrimmage in Arizona, you definitely remember. So, but the deal on those scrimmages is it's so early in the season. You're trying to you don't really care if you win on those things. Sean didn't really care if he won. We didn't. I didn't. The players do, because they're playing. They're competing for playing time, and they're competitors, so they do. But so it's not a real game. You clear the score at half, things like that. So our teams that we played them with were pretty good, and they were pretty good. So we felt like we benefited from it. I think that's the best way I could put it. Is we felt we played one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the West and played pretty well against them, and I think it helped us. It gave us confidence for those seasons.
Okay, one last question right here, please.
RJ Beatty, rushthecourt.net. Coach, Arizona struggled in transition the last couple games. It was something that Coach Miller commented on. How tempted are you guys going to be to maybe exploit that, given the pace that you generally like to play out on offense?
You know what? The way we play, we'll play the same. We'll play the same. If there's transition opportunities, we'll take them. If there's not, we're very comfortable playing in the half court.
Okay, Coach, thank you for your time, and best of
Thank
luck
you.
tomorrow. The Arizona student athletes will follow at 3:55. So Alonzo and Raleigh. Okay, the student athletes are making their way to their positions on the dais. We ask you to please raise your hands and identify yourself by name and affiliation, and wait for the microphones as they get to you before you ask your question. Introducing from my left to right, freshman guard Raleigh Atkins and sophomore guard Alonzo Trier. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions for our student athletes.
Christopher Bone, Green Valley News. What's the biggest takeaway for you guys from that game last night against North Dakota and warming up for tomorrow night's game against St. Mary's? What do you guys expect from the Gales in the second round of the tournament?
Okay, I'll start. Our biggest takeaway from last night was that we have to rebound the ball. We have to rebound and defend. St. Mary's, they're kind of the opposite of North Dakota, being that they play slow. They play a slow tempo. And we know that we're going to have to play defense for 30 seconds of the clock, every possession.
Okay, right here, third row.
RJ Vadia, rushthecourt.net. Can both of you guys talk about Kadim's influence just overall in the course of the season and on U.S. players individually? There's a stretch in the second half last night where things were going kind of sideways. He came in and kind of stabilized you guys. Just talk about his influence on you two.
Yeah, Kadim's a great leader, and not only does he do it vocally, he leads by example. And I think, when the game got kind of tight in the second half, he went on a spurt of just playing with high energy level and, competing at a very high level, and he changed the game for us, and he kind of allowed us to open the game up in the second half.
I'll probably say the same thing. He's one of our better defenders on the team, if not the best. And, him being the only senior on the team, this is his last go-around. So he's just going to give it his all.
Everyone talks about how tough it is to defend St. Mary's, but they're actually a pretty good defensive team themselves. What's your guys' take on attacking them and what you're going to need to do?
I think we're going to have to be very patient. We're going to have to let the game come to us. They're a very good defensive team, and they're very much like us, as in they play only all-man. So, they're very sound. They do a great job of rotating on defense, and they're well coached.
Right here, second row, please.
And Christopher Bowen again. For both of you now, well, for you, Raleigh, this is your first trip to the NCAA. For you, Alonzo, this is your second. How does this trip for you, Alonzo, this being your second trip to the NCAA tournament, how does this compare to last year? And how does last year's experience, obviously, you guys lost to Wichita State in the first round, but you were in the tournament, you got that experience. How does getting that out of the way, I guess, help you guys, or help you kind of guide the freshmen this year and make sure you guys make it farther than you did a year ago?
You start to get a little more comfortable. This is your second go-around. Obviously, us losing in the first round, my experience in the NCAA tournament was very short. But, very thankful to have a win yesterday. And you just try to, show the young guys the ropes, what it's like. And then, but also, like, being actually in the experience, there's only so much you can tell them. The actual experience is what teaches them everything.
Well, for me, being a freshman, this is obviously my first time in March Madness. Last year, I was watching it on TV at home, and to be playing in it, it's a great feeling. Not every team in college basketball is playing in March, and to be one of the few teams playing in March, it's a great opportunity.
Okay, do we have any more questions for our student athletes? All right, gentlemen, thank you for your time, and good luck tomorrow. Okay, we anticipate head coach Sean Miller will be here. His scheduled time is at 4:15, but we may start early depending on how quickly he is done with his CBS obligations. Okay, we will first hear an opening statement from Coach Miller and then open up for questions.
Opening statement?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, first off, we're obviously excited to still be in the tournament. I said it before. We played our first game. It's something you never want to take for granted, being in this tournament. There's never been more change in our game from one season to the next, and just because it's happened in the past doesn't guarantee you that it's going to happen the following season. So we knew last night, playing against North Dakota, we were up against some really talented guards in a fast pace, and at times they were very difficult for us to defend. In some ways, I think it was a great training ground for our next opponent, because I don't know if there's a team in the field that does a better job playing together, putting you in really difficult positions on defense, and playing as a team more than St. Mary's. We respect them a great deal. A few years ago, we started to scrimmage them, and instead of playing 2 exhibition games in McHale, we played 1 exhibition game and scrimmaged them, I think, 3 times. As a matter of fact, we were actually going to schedule them this year, and we had to cancel because we had to add another home game. I don't know if it's good or bad that we canceled, but we have a familiarity with them, and I say that because not until you go against St. Mary's do you truly understand how well they move the ball, how well they execute, and how together they are on both offense and defense. And I really believe this, that we are up against a great team, a team that's more than capable of winning several games in this tournament. And that's what's great about the NCAA tournament. Every time that you go out to play, you're playing against an excellent team. And in some cases, some that are under the radar. And I really believe St. Mary's is one of those. Randy Bennett is one of our game's great coaches, and he deserves a ton of credit.
Okay, thank you, Coach. We'll now open up for questions. Right here, please.
Coach, RJ Beatty at rushthecourt.net. Now that you've had a chance to look at the game from last night, how much of the struggles on defense in the second half had something to do with the fact that you guys were just rolling so much on offense?
There's some truth to that. We had one of our best offensive nights of the season. Obviously, if you score 100 points in the NCAA tournament, something went right. I thought they really challenged us. They tried to take things away from our offense. They mixed in a zone. As you know, if you follow them, they have the ability to steal the ball and get their hands all over the court on your basketball. We played with single-digit turnovers, which, again, is a great sign for us. 24 for 28 from the foul line, another great sign. But that's an excuse. Truth of the matter is that they were a difficult team for us to guard. They have a couple guards that I think are as good as a lot of great backcourts that we've played against this season, and they move the ball, and they were tough for us to defend. We could have been better at times, but the one thing that I'm excited about is last night challenged us in such a big way defensively that it leads into our next game. It wasn't like it was easy for us to guard them, or what they had on offense doesn't represent the future. If anything, I think it really represents what we're going to go up against tomorrow, because, as you guys know, St. Mary's has terrific guard play. They move the ball. They set as many ball screens as any team that we'll face. Last night, North Dakota was similar in that aspect.
Okay, 4th row, Mike.
Yeah, Coach Mike Sorensen, Deseret News. They played a little slower pace than you, perhaps. I mean, they're number 2 in the nation in defense, and you like to get in a transition. Just talk about the challenge that will present to your team.
Well, yes, St. Mary's is deliberate. They will certainly off of rebounds. They will push it, and they'll shoot the 3-point shot in kind of a quiet way. They score more points in transition maybe than people talk about. But you're right. We're going to be at our best when we can get defensive stops and have a chance to get out in transition, and we want to do that. But at the end of the day, they execute, they take care of the ball. It's going to be a great defensive challenge for us. There's going to be long possessions, and we're going to have to be really good at the end of the shot clock, the last 10 seconds. And you could play very good defense for 15 or 20 seconds, but all of a sudden, one of your 5 defenders breaks down, and St. Mary's has a way of taking advantage of that. As you know, Landell inside is terrific. I mean, he is as good around the basket as any low post player that we've faced, but it still comes down to their execution. A lot of his scoring opportunities happen because of how well they execute and a lot of the ball screens that they use. They do a great job of putting him in a position to catch the ball and score. So to me, it's about us being as good as we've been all season long, defending the other team.
Okay, third row right here, please.
Hi, Coach. Lynn Worthy from the Salt Lake Tribune. I wanted to find out with Laurie Markin, and obviously we saw such an explosive first half from him last night. How did you go about, or when did he first come on your radar, and what was sort of the process getting him here, and what sort of an impact has he made on your program?
Well, we started recruiting Lowry, I guess, in the spring there, which would have been the summer before his senior year in Finland. As you know, the world's a smaller place now than ever before. We recognized how well he was playing in the FIBA tournaments that he was in, and we followed up. Joe Pasternak, one of our assistant coaches, did a great job of identifying Lowry and pursuing him. And, thank goodness we were able to get him because I don't know if there's a freshman that's playing in the NCAA tournament that's had a bigger impact on his team than Lowry has had on our team. He's been consistent from the first game against Michigan State in Hawaii all the way through last night against North Dakota. So he's had a great freshman year, and he's as good of a basketball player as he is. He's an even better kid, hard worker, great teammate, and he's done nothing but help our program in addition to our team because of all of those qualities.
Okay, right back there, please.
Sean, Christopher Bowen, Green Valley News. I just got here, so I apologize if I already answered this question, but you mentioned Laurie, but you got a senior, obviously, Kadeem Allen. I just got out of the locker room with him. What do you think about this kid, not just Kadeem, not just as an athlete, but also away from the court? And what kind of impact has he had on the freshmen like Laurie and all the other freshmen as well? What kind of mark has he left on this program, and I guess what do you enjoy most about getting to coach a kid like Kadeem?
Well, Kadeem's one of my favorite players I've ever been around. As a teammate, when I played, assistant coach, head coach, he has overcome tremendous odds. He's what college sports is all about. He's taken advantage of the path that has been given to him. He went to a junior college, Hutchinson Junior College. They did a great job with him. He left there, made the decision to come to Arizona. He was the National Junior College Player of the Year, and I asked him to redshirt, and he did it. And first year away from home, a long way from home in his case, everything was difficult. The practice structure, the academic structure, not playing with us in the games, but having to practice, maybe lifting weights for the first time ever. And to think about where he was and where he is today, he's 2 classes from graduating. He's the only senior on our team. He's our team's heart and soul. Everybody on our team respects him a great deal because he only cares about winning. He really does. I've never, ever had a conversation, nor has anybody, about how many shots he gets or points. And he's in this for the right reasons. And again, when you have success like we've had for an entire year, there's a lot of things that have gone right. And I think him being a leader, if you would have told our team a few years ago that Kadeem Allen would be the great leader that he is today, they would have all bet me because he was just trying to make it when he first got to Arizona. But, you think of a guy like a T.J. McConnell who became a great leader for us a couple years ago. Kadeem is his equal, and he does it in a different way, but he does it by example. And I can't say enough good things about him. That's why we want to keep going, because somebody like him, you want this season to grow.
Okay. third row right here.
Hey, Sean. Saul Bookman, Arizona Daily Wildcat. Earlier in the season, Dusan Ristic was playing very well, especially against bigger opponents like Tyler Davis from Texas A&M. Later on in the season against like Connor Clifford, had some problems. How important is he going to be tomorrow night to your guys' success?
Well, Dusan's going to be very important, but, you know, where we're at in the season now, everybody is. Dusan didn't play, you know, in my opinion, up to his ability level in the first half of last night's game. We felt that as a team. And he was great in the second half. He scored 12 points in the second half, utilized his size, and on offense, there aren't many players more skilled than Dusan, and he's proven that really from start to finish this season. You know, defensively and rebounding, we're always challenging him, and he's made great improvement. But tomorrow, our entire front line will be challenged because I think they have just a great, great player.
Okay, fifth row.
Sammy Linebaugh with the Pac-12 Network. Can you talk about how your team at this point right now is handling just the expectation going in against a 7th seed? They're a 2 seed. You come out now of that first round, and where things are mentally, who's showing leadership, and then with Trier especially coming out of last night, maybe didn't have as many points as he would have liked, just where the head is right now.
He never has as many points as he would have liked. He always wants a couple more. I mean that in a good way. But, you know, the thing about playing at Arizona is we're in a high expectation environment. You know, there's really not a game we walk out there where people don't expect us to win. And when you get into March, I think that really helps us because, you know, we've played in really any big stage that you can think of. We've kind of already been there. And I'll go to the Pac-12 tournament where, you know, playing those 3 games in 3 days, you know, we had 18,000 people at T-Mobile Center. If you haven't been there, I think it has to be one of the great arenas in the world. And to play teams like UCLA and Oregon in back-to-back nights, you know, it prepares you for this. And, you know, it's not going to be okay if we lose, but we already know that. It's not as if we're going to be surprised. So, you know, the fear of losing, you know, we can't operate like that. We have to be the best that we can be, knowing that the bigger the game, it's going to bring out the best in our team and in our players. So that's really how we've prepared. And, you know, look, you could throw the seeds out at this point. You can make the case that St. Mary's is more efficient than we are. You know, if you look at their numbers this season, they've been remarkably consistent on both offense and defense. And they're going to be a tough team for any team in this tournament to beat, including us.
Okay, third row right here, please.
St. Mary's gets so much attention with their half-court offense. Can you talk about the challenges that their defense presents? Because they're pretty good at that end of the court, too.
That's the one thing that we learned having faced them the last several years in that scrimmage environment. We got a really good feel for how disciplined, how tough, you know, how position-oriented their defense is. They're equally as good on defense, you're right. And, you know, they're the fastball pitcher. They do what they do. They're not going to change a lot. They're going to get better at it, and they believe in their system. They believe in their coach. They believe in each other, and, you know, they're a team. They don't beat themselves. When you play St. Mary's, you're going to have to beat them by being the better team. You know, whether that's turnovers, taking good shots, you know, how they get back in transition. They do all of the things that a great team does. And, you know, again, Randy Bennett, he doesn't get nearly enough credit for the job that he does. And St. Mary's is truly a good program. We know we're in for a heck of a game.
Right here, first row, please.
Sean, I apologize if you've been asked a version of this, but I didn't know if you could expound on your relationship with Randy Bennett and how that started. He said you guys talked in Vegas once, and also if once you agreed to scrimmage each other, did you figure this kind of thing might happen where you'd face each other in the tournament?
Well, you know, I think that we decided to scrimmage each other through mutual respect, that, you know, for us, being able in a quiet gym to play a team that's as well coached and disciplined, that sets as many ball screens as they do and has the style that they have, you know, would really teach our team, you know, what we want to become and how hard college basketball is. You know, I can remember like it was yesterday, taking Rondé Hollis Jefferson or Stanley Johnson, Aaron Gordon, and all 3 of those guys scrimmaged St. Mary's, and that would have been like 2.5, 3 weeks into our season. where they haven't really played against another college team. And I think in all three of their cases, although they did okay, none of them really shined. And I think it's telling that, experience, how important that is. And, when you're playing against a team that has a great system, that it takes some time to grow and develop. But those scrimmages were great. We were supposed to scrimmage them this year. And I don't know if it's good or bad that we didn't, but it was up to us. We ended up being the one that canceled it. So it is ironic in some ways that we're playing, but I'm not surprised. We knew when we faced them and when you watch them on television that they're a team that's going to be in this tournament.
Okay, we have time for a couple more questions for Coach. Right back here, fifth row.
Yeah, Sean. Steve Rivera, Go Easy Cats. If you could talk about a guy who won't be playing tomorrow, and Ray Smith, who has had his journey cut short, obviously, and I don't remember meeting a more humble guy. Just your thoughts on him and how he's handled it this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of storylines on our team this season, and Ray's with us here in the tournament, which is awesome. But, Ray is very young in life. He's a sophomore in college. He's in his fourth semester. He's doing very well academically. He has a goal of graduating, and I'm sure that he will graduate. But, for basketball to be taken from him at such a young age, and I'm sure he would share this with you, it's not an easy thing. You just don't, again, flip a switch and say, I'm okay. And I think at times, he really acts like he's okay, but, he's searching, he's trying to find his niche on where he's going to end up. I think he's got a really bright future in broadcasting because, he's got a great smile. He's very articulate. His story really tells it all. But, yeah, it's not an easy thing. Ray, for those of you who don't know, he suffered 3 ACL tears in a row. One in the last event in July before his senior year, and I think he was on track to be McDonald's All-American. He signed a national letter with us, rehabbed, did not play his senior year of high school, and in the fall of early October of his freshman year, he was doing very well. He tore his other ACL, rehabbed last year, and worked hard. And then in our exhibition game, he did it a third time, which the hard part, I think, for our team is some guys were really a part of the last 2 of those. Like, they saw it happen. And, when you see something like that happen to your teammate, it takes you back. But it's one of the great stories of our season because we've hung in there, and I think in some ways worked to honor Ray by our performance and knowing that he can't be with us.
Okay, right here, third row, please.
Sean, last night I asked you a question about the walk-ons. Speaking to them, they said that each one of them had a process of just continuous communication, trying to email and get onto the team or get a chance to try out. What is your process with you and the staff in terms of trying to get these guys on the staff and or on the team, and what do you put them through in order to make sure that they're a right fit for you?
Well, I'm sure I'm like every college basketball coach at this point. Anybody that you add to your program has to be a part of a solution. Has to be somebody that can really add value and has to be able to fit not only who we are as a basketball team, but program. Being responsible off the court academically, and those guys. For example, what we're about ready to do. We have 90 minutes. We have 1 shot to represent St. Mary's and prepare the best that we can. Other than that, it's going to be walk through and film who represents St. Mary's. Those guys, they're what we call our scout team. So how intelligent they are, they have to love the game, be selfless, and being able to put them in the game last night was great for them. But they're a part of our team, and we value what they do a tremendous amount.
Okay, one last question right here, please.
Sean, obviously last night you guys broke 100. First time Arizona team has broke 100 in the NCAA tournament. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but since 2001 against Eastern Illinois. I just got out of the locker room. The guys seem pretty loose. They seem like they're having a good time. How much do you think guys like Kadeem Allen and the more experienced guys have had to do with that kind of laid-back mentality and the fact that you guys seem to be playing your best basketball this part of the year, which I know is a big part of making it deep into the tournament and doing pretty well at this point in the season.
Well, you want your guys to enjoy being here. It's hard to get here. It's hard to stay here. There's a lot of pressure on the win. Did you win? Did you lose? If you lose, everybody here knows your season's over. And both teams want to continue on with the journey. So I think the balance of being serious, business-like, understanding that you have to be ready to go, but a day like today, you can do both. And we really try to encourage and foster an environment where guys can enjoy being here and at the same time recognize the task at hand.
Okay, Coach, thank you for your
Yep,
time and good
thank
luck
you.
tomorrow.